Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Freakier Friday, and this is the sequel to the remake that came out in the aughts, and this is a charming body swap film from director Nisha Ganatra, who made films like Late Night and has worked on a lot of television, and here she takes the reins of this story where you have Jamie Lee Curtis as Tess Coleman and Lindsay Lohan as Anna Coleman, who now there's grandchildren involved with Julia Butters, who plays Harper, who's Anna's daughter, and you have Anna falling in love with Manny Jacinto's Eric, whose daughter, Lily, played by Sophia Hammonds, just doesn't like Harper. Harper doesn't like Lily. Things are tense. And are they going to move to London? Are they going to stay in California? There's just a lot going on here and a lot of tension. And all four of our leading ladies wind up body swapping, with the two eldest switching into the bodies of the two youngest and vice versa, and getting up to all kinds of shenanigans. One thing that I really appreciate about Ganatra's direction is, this feels like a film. So many modern comedies feel so overlit and look like it's just made for TV without a whole lot of personality from a visual standpoint or directorial voice. This feels like, hey, this should be seen on a big screen. It feels like it has that kind of element. It's not a big deal for probably most audience members, but it's noticeable. And I appreciated that. I think it has a good energy. I appreciate the choice of music. It really brings this good sense of pace to the film, because it's an hour and 51-minute film. I was really worried about that, but the pacing's really good, and it does a nice job. Ganatra does a great job of balancing some really good humor, a lot of awkward, cringy humor, and unbelievably awkward situations, and a lot of cross-generational humor, this disconnect between, Gen X or baby boomer to, elder millennial versus Zoomers and Gen Alpha, and all of these differences, and they're able to find some fun in that humor, but there's also a good emotional core to this film. There's a couple emotional beats that really got me, and a lot of that has to do with, there's some really strong performances here. The story, is playing around with the tropes that you expect from the original film, and I feel like they do enough fun, interesting things, incorporating, the job, Lindsay Lohan's character is a former musician turned music exec, and all of those layers that get added in. They're planning for a wedding between Anna and Eric and all of those shenanigans. And I feel like they leverage those scenarios enough to have a lot of fun along the way, but also set up for big emotional beats as well. It does a nice job of balancing the older cast with the new cast, and going through, Jamie Lee Curtis is so committed to this, and she's having such a blast that you really are impressed by the places that she'll go, even embarrassing herself when she's a young woman inside her body, critiquing her aged look. Lindsay Lohan, I think, is pretty charming, honestly, and really brings this character to life. I was really impressed by Julia Butters, who there's a few moments where she has to carry a lot of emotion in her performance, and she nails it. And Hammonds is a lot of fun, too, and they make a great dynamic. Lohan and Curtis have great chemistry. Again, Jacinto is very charming, muscular, and gets to, dirty dance a little bit at times. Mark Harmon's, not in a lot, but he has some good moments. I did appreciate that Maitreyi Ramakrishnan, who's from one of my favorite shows, honestly, from Netflix, that I Never Have I Ever, comes in here as a pop star, and she's such a great supporting character in this whole equation. But from the beginning to end, there's plenty of humor, there's plenty of charm, there's plenty of emotion. Sure, it plays in a lot of tropes for body swap and stuff like that, and maybe some lower hanging humor at times that might not hit all the time. But I think this film is an inspired sequel that takes what the first film did, adds on top of it, but still keeps the heart and the soul of the experience. And you still get a little bit of Chad Michael Murray as well. And, he still has a thing for Jamie Lee Curtis. But those are my thoughts on Freakier Friday. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.